Louder? Okay. I had this really good segue for when sister finished her blessing. I was going to go from one sister to another. And then I was like, okay, I'll do it later. So Claudia's given me a decent amount of advice for this speech. For anyone who don't know, I'm Claudia's sister, Justine. So she's given me a little bit of advice. She said, as long as you stand up straight, I don't care what you said. Okay, so I'm standing up straight. She also said, what was the other thing she said? She said, if you mess up, don't worry, I will run up and fix it. So if she comes running up here, don't be alarmed, and I hope that doesn't happen. She also said, I'm not gonna forget this side of the room. She also said, I know you like to make jokes, but don't forget to say something funny or nice about us as sisters. So I started thinking a little bit about what says our sisterhood. And the first thing that came to my mind was a project that she did when she was in high school. And it was called My Sister and Me, Step by Step. And it was a picture book with captions tracing our relationship as sisters. The first caption was a picture of her standing behind me, and it's just my little infant feet. And she's standing behind me and she says, my birth certificate reads February 16th, 1981. But I think the first day I actually lived was June 15th, 1984. Some people know what that is. When my sister Justine was born. From that day on, I knew that I would be her guardian, teacher, and protector, and that we would look out for each other for the rest of our lives. Now, for anyone who knows Claudia at all, you know that she has taken this protector and guardian role incredibly seriously, with much passion. She is a force to be reckoned with. For anyone here who she deemed to ever do any harm to me, I am sorry and Godspeed. And I'm sure a good many of you here have received a text message or a phone call at some point in your lives saying, have you heard from Justine? Can you confirm she is safe? How lucky was I to have such a loving, beautiful, wonderful safety net for the last 30 years of my life. Now, while Claudia was steps away for the last 30 years of my life, Adam was steps away literally. And I know you hate that word, but I think I used it right. Adam? For those of you who don't know, Adam spent his childhood since he was 2 months old right here on Old Orchard Beach vacationing with his wonderful parents, Craig and Shannon. Now, how amazing is it that they never met throughout that time? But I started thinking that of course they must have crossed paths throughout that 30-year period where they vacationed here together, or we were here working and Adam was vacationing, relaxing, lame. So I put together a list of all the times that I think they probably crossed paths. Buying a raspberry lime Ricky at the soda fountain in Ocean Park, fighting over vinegar at Pier Fry's, fighting over vinegar at Amato's, waiting in line at the supermarket Radley's while his dad and my mom bought gin for their nightly martini, on the beach here while Claudia read a 1,000-page novel in an hour probably, and Adam walked by with a trash bag collecting cans in a white t-shirt to be returned downtown for some baseball cards. But even more amazingly is I think they probably crossed paths right out front of the Ocean House at one point or another. Adam told us this beautiful, amazing story a couple weeks ago that he used to go for walks along the beach with his parents. And he would always want to go to the pier. And they would say, can we make a compromise? That's too far to walk. So their compromise every time was in between the American and Canadian flags on the Ocean House, which is just truly amazing. Now, it wasn't until 4 years ago that their paths actually crossed, which is truly amazing, thanks to their mutual friend, Mary Lou. I would never forget Mary Lou in this whole story. On that night, Shannon and Adam came over to our house down the street for lobster, and it was love at first sight. And by that, I mean Claudia and Shannon. But thank God, Claudia and Adam's connection was soon to follow, more gradually, but it got there. From then on, they formed this amazing connection that is incredibly unique, and anyone who spent any time around them knows that they found the only other person in the world who could beat each other at Jeopardy, the only other person in the world who would listen to the Hamilton soundtrack from start to finish and then play it again, and the only other person who would make a competition out of how much percentage of a lobster you could eat. They found an eternal bond and connection in their love of Boston and its politics, and John Connolly, you will always be my mayor. But they also found a great love in traveling internationally to places like Marseille and Rio de Janeiro, but they also found an appreciation in a small town like Old Orchard. But mostly, they had a strong bond and connection in valuing each other's families and an understanding and dignity of understanding each other's loss. Now, my parents pretty much invented the concept of taking things step by step. For anyone who doesn't know, my dad was a notorious bachelor in Old Orchard Beach. He also was devoutly Greek Orthodox, and my mother was devoutly Catholic. This caused a lot of problems. It took them a long time to figure out where they were going to get married, how they were going to raise the kids. It was very combative, but loving. So eventually my mother came up with this compromise that they would re-up the marriage every year on their anniversary so that they wouldn't get nervous, which is brilliant. And their marriage lasted for 25 plus years, which is very creative. So since they're not here, I kind of came up with a few things that I think they would probably say today. First off, I think they would say, this is my dad. This is my dad. He would say, honey, if things get stressful, eat a banana and go soak in the ocean. He would also say, he's not Greek, but he's a good Democrat. Finally, I think he would say, I know you love your mother, but I can't tell you how happy I am that you got married in the Greek Orthodox Church. Now my mother, and anyone who knew my mother, she was a tough cookie, but loving, loving, loving. She would say, honey, I used to wear baby oil in the sun, and I don't think Adam can even go outside. She would also say, the only reason I let you get married in the Greek Orthodox Church was because you sang Ave Maria and Sister Mary gave a blessing. So thank you, sister. Finally, I think she'd say, I know you and Adam are very different, but like me and your father, he has an amazing joie de vivre. And like me and your father, he loves you more than anything in the world. I never met Craig, but I'm sure he joined Shannon and my parents in sheer happiness that the two of you have found a union as blessed as theirs. Now, I think back to the project that Claudia did when she was in high school. On the final page, it was a picture of me taller than her, and she was confused. She said, I don't know what to do, my younger sister is taller than me. But no matter what, she will always look up to me, and I will always look after her. And as I watched Adam and Claudia paint that motel sign this week together, I knew that they had found each other and would look after each other for the rest of their lives. And I'm so happy for them. And one other piece of advice Claudia gave me, she said, you know when the speech ends, you have to say, let's raise your toast to Claudia and Adam, so I'm not going to forget that. And I stood up straight, and she didn't come up here. So let's raise a toast to Claudia and Adam. For everyone here and everyone who's not here, love and happiness forever.